I use my phone way too much. In this video, I'm gonna share my 11 tips to stop my phone addiction. Oh, I guess tip number 1 is break your phone. Luckily, the Apple Store is right there, so let's go get a new phone. Did I just break my phone for this video? Right, I hope the video does well.
Now, the first step is admitting that you have a phone addiction. The second step is to measuring this. What I made sure to do is turn on screen time tracking, and then it pulls up how much I'm using my phone and the apps. And I put a widget on my homepage so that way I can really see which apps am I using way too much. So that way I'm a little bit more mindful of how I'm using my phone.
I wanted to trade in my phone.
You have to pay $100.
So the Apple Store lady just told me I just shop here way too much.
Life hack number 1, turn off notifications and badges. A big thing for me is I get a lot of messages every single day, and it's just a little bit frustrating and annoying. So what I'll do is I'll go to the settings, notifications, and for example, messages is a little bit overwhelming at times. So what I'll do is I'll go in here and I'll just turn off all notifications for iMessage. Wow. It's a bit crazy, but it works because I always pick up my phone and I check the messages app. So test it out, try it out and see what happens. If you're like, that's a little bit too much, what you can do is try the scheduled summary feature. And this will provide a batch notifications at certain times a day. So for me, I've picked 1 o'clock and 9 p.m. and then I can actually get those notifications at those times. If someone tags me, if there's a time sensitive notification, those will be on. If that still doesn't work for you, another thing I like to do is turn off lock screen and banners, and that way these notifications only show up in the notification center. So I actually have to swipe down to see my iMessages, and if I don't, I don't want them to pop up at the top of the page, especially when I'm using my phone. And then the biggest thing is turning off badges. I don't know about you, but when I see that little badge icon right there, all I want to do is tap the app and see what's going on. So for the apps that I'm using way too much, I'll turn off the badges. And the second place I'll turn off badge notifications is under home screen, and right here. It says notification badges show in app library. I'll turn that off because I don't want to go to the app library and see all these apps have different notifications, because then it prompts and it inspires me to want to open up the apps. And the whole goal is to use my phone less. And then if you have AirPods, ideally you want to turn off announce notifications so it doesn't interrupt you. Hack number 2, focus modes. So under focus, you can actually go ahead and create a set of focus modes. The ones I use most often is sleep when I'm sleeping, no coffee phone, which is the first 90 minutes of my day after waking up, fitness when I'm working out, and then do not disturb when I really just don't want people to bother me. So for example, no coffee phone, I've set up a custom homepage and I have it activate every day at 6:30 when I wake up until 8 a.m. To be honest, I sleep in sometimes. And I will have it filter my iMessages, my Safari tabs, and even my email. So that way I only see messages from certain people at that time. My home screen will hide a whole bunch of apps. So at this time, I don't want to be using my phone. So when I set up this focus mode, I can have it hide all of my apps and I will just show an empty home screen. And I really don't want anyone else to notify me, so I put no one in the people allowed list. And then under apps, like I allow calendar notifications just in case I have an early morning meeting. But other than that, I don't want my phone to do anything. I want everything to feel like it's disappeared. So that's what I love about this feature. The sleep mode, I only have certain apps I need to use right before I go to bed. So whether it's scanning my CGM, checking my sleep stats, or changing the temperature of my bed. So I only have those apps on my home screen, and I set it to turn on at a certain time and turn off a certain time in the morning. I filter out all my iMessage conversations, so even when I show up iMessage, check this out, this is my favorite feature. So when I'm sleeping, you can see my home screen changes. I only have the apps I need for bedtime. And then when I open up messages, it actually hides every single iMessage there, so I can't see if I have any notifications, who's messaged me. This software barrier prevents me from checking my phone and using it more often. And then finally, fitness. I allow my fitness apps to show on the home screen and notifications from the fitness-based apps. And then finally, do not disturb. I try to hide everything again. This is kind of my mode where I want to get into deep work and I don't want anyone to bother me. But I would go and set focus modes for different lifestyle behaviors that you want. Turn on focus filters for your messages, your emails, your Safari tabs, and then maybe it's like time of day, or you have it set so it's like location based when it's a certain app that you open, and it can learn over time and activate these different focus modes. And then I just share it across all my devices, so different iPhones, iPad, and MacBook, they all sync together. And you can even create focus modes, so that's how I created my no coffee phone one. But you can go ahead and delete and change these as you'd like. Number 3, Screen Time Passcode. So what I'll do is go into Screen Time. You can set app limits for specific apps. As you can see here, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, I set very small app limits, and you can create custom ones for you. I'd find out inside of Screen Time which apps are you using most and which ones do you want to limit, and then go ahead and add those apps here. You can even do it by category as well. And you can share this across devices as well as your Safari browser. And then sometimes I'll even use the downtime feature where I'll have this turn on at night, so that way my phone is less usable at night as well. And if you really want to step it up, you can go to content and allowed apps and turn off Safari. So if you're the person who will log into Instagram or Twitter on Safari and you don't want to do that, you can turn off Safari here. So that helps also prevent you from using the app or using it on Safari. I'm also a person who just loves to open multiple tabs, so just turning that off helped me minimize my tab usage. And then use Screen Time Passcode. So what I will do is hand this to a friend and have them create a Screen Time Passcode. So Mike Hanna, great guy. He has actually set a Screen Time Passcode for me before, and he will set it. I won't know what it is, so I can't actually open the apps. And if I want to open the app, I can do one more minute, or I have to ask him to type in the code for me, which he usually never does because accountability is great. Next, I know one thing I love to do is search my apps. So when I open up here, I'll swipe down and start to type in Instagram. And that's another easy way to open up the app on my phone. But I realized that I really don't want to be able to search and find that app as easily. So what I'll do is I'll go to Siri and Search, and then I'll find the apps that I don't want myself to search. So for example, let's try About Time here. So if I go search About Time, you can see the app pops up when I'm searching for it. Now, if I go into About Time, what I'll try to do is I'll turn these off, turn all these off under Siri and Search. And then now when I search for About Time, the app doesn't show up. So it just makes it even harder to find. If I want to use the app, I have to go to my app library, which will be in here. And then I can go ahead and try to find it by tapping through, or I can search the app library, which will always show the app. So if I go to the app library and search, it finds it, but if I search over here, it will not find it. So that's another way to create another software friction point. Number 4, the Shortcuts app. So what I'll do is I'll open up Shortcuts, and if my goal is to use less social media, or maybe I need to add someone as a friend on social media, or I know I need to do something work-based on social media, and I don't want to do it on my phone, what I will do is set up a shortcut so that way every time I open a social media app, it actually jumps to my Notes app. So I set it up for Mail here because I deleted social media, but every time Mail is open, I can change this to Instagram, it opens up a note called To Do Social Media. Now, when I go open up Mail, it's going to try to just do that, but it's going to jump to do social media, right? And every time I go back, it just jumps right back. So I can't actually use the app, and you can actually change what you want it to do. So you can go ahead and say open app. And my friends here at Othership sent me this really cool breathing app. So if you're like, I'd rather meditate instead of using my phone, what you can do is say open and then app. And now I've edited the automation. So now, when I open Mail, it's going to open up that Notes app, and then it's going to open up Othership, and it's going to make me do a breath work meditation. So go check out Othership. I'll have them linked down below. But what you can do is you can set it up so it automatically redirects you to kind of like a breathwork meditation app, and instead of using social media. Just depends on your needs. You can customize that in Shortcuts. Now, the second option that I also like to do is so that way I can continue to maybe reply to DMs or add somebody as a friend on Instagram is I set up a secondary automation where it doesn't fully prevent me from using the app, but it still allows me to, but it just makes it less fun. So you could do the whole grayscale, invert colors thing, but it makes your whole phone usage not a fun experience. But what I figured out is you can create that specific to the apps you don't want to use. So I do have a YouTube Studio addiction, and it's gonna do is it's gonna turn white point on, invert my colors, set the brightness super low, turn the volume all the way down. I'm going to turn this on, and now when I open up Studio, boom, it inverts all the colors. It makes the screen really dark. It's kind of hard to see, so let's brighten the screen up here. Boom, so all the colors are inverted. You can't really see that well. I can still operate and use the device, but everything is kind of inverted and funky and it's ugly. So if you're using Instagram, it's just gonna make you less ideal to wanna use it. And then when I leave the app, it resets everything. My brightness comes back online. So every time I open the apps that I'm trying to prevent myself from using, I can use that as a feature to kind of create a software friction point again. Now, I did look around, and if you don't want to use the Shortcuts app, there's something called ScreenZen, which is really cool. It makes you pause before you use your social media app. I'm not affiliated with them, but you can check it out. And then another one that my friend mentioned was 1sec. So it makes you wait like 30 seconds before you use social media. It's really cool to see the data in terms of how these apps will actually track your data usage and tell you, hey, you stopped using Instagram X number of times because of our app. So these are really cool apps to check out, and this will automatically do it for you, and you don't have to worry about the challenges with Shortcuts. Another thing I've done to make it easier to fall asleep is I turned on an accessibility shortcut. So at night, this automatically turns on. It says reduce white point, and it turns the brightness of my phone down. The biggest thing is not the color of the screen, but the brightness of the screen. So if I can turn the brightness down on my screen, I can still use it. I can see things, and hopefully it's gonna help me fall asleep. So that's another cool thing I've done just to make my phone less usable at night, and then it kind of comes back to regular brightness in the morning. Now, physical separation. One of the things I try to do when I'm going to bed, or I'm charging my phone, or I don't want to use my phone, whether I'm doing deep work, I will charge my phone in a different space in my apartment. So whether that's in the closet, or I'll put it by the kitchen, but just creating a distance away from my phone, not having it at my desk, because there's studies that show that when you have your phone even just like sitting on your desk, it reduces your IQ or something like that. So just having that distance away, I try to charge my phone in a closet that's far away from my bed so I don't have physical access to my phone. Next is the Apple Watch. I did buy the Apple Watch cellular model right here, and I love using this as kind of like my daily driver. I'll try to spend a couple hours per day where I'm only using my Apple Watch and not my iPhone. And using the Apple Watch is a great way to create that separation but keep me connected, allow me to reply to messages, has been extremely valuable. The only issue is there's no camera, the battery life isn't great, and sometimes the connection and GPS can be a little bit off, but I'm hoping with the new Ultra things will change. Next is deleting the app. So if I'm using an app a lot and I just want to stop using it, I'll delete the app and I'll reinstall it when I absolutely need it. And I'll try to force myself to use the app on a separate device. So whether that's on my desktop, my MacBook, or I'll use an iPad, or even sometimes like this, I bought a separate iPhone or iPod as my social media device, and I can access those apps that I need for social media related work and not for fun on a separate device. So that creates kind of physical separation. Obviously that's a privilege and you might not be able to do it, but using it on a computer could be a better alternative. Rubber band. I haven't actually tried this one, but what you could do is tie a rubber band around your iPhone, and that can kind of create this physical feeling of like, do I really need to use my phone right now? It kind of forces you to pause and think because the rubber band is there and it kind of prevents you from touching some parts of the screen. And then lastly, a case safe box. So this is a case safe box. So you can actually take your iPhone and put it inside of this little box and lock it up, and you can set the time. So I can set 10 minutes, and I press this button right here. Let's not do 10 minutes because I need this phone. Let's do 1 minute. I press it, it'll do a countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And once that countdown is done, you hear the motors go off. It's gonna show how much time I have left. And now the iPhone is stuck inside. So I can't really use my iPhone because it's in there. So if you're trying to do a deep work session, you wanna create physical separation, this is literally forcing you not to use your phone. So now I can put this away somewhere else. I do have a case safe box, and to be honest, I don't use it as much as I wish I did, but that is an option to create another set of physical separation if you're really bad. Even just like putting it 10 feet away is not enough for you. Buy this box and lock your phone away. Now send this to a friend who spends way too much on their phone, especially the ones who are doing it while you two are hanging out. This is kind of like your subtle message to say, be present with me. Those are my 11 tips. Make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications to see more tips around tech and living a healthier life. Oh, it just unlocked.